check out my index finger. And I'm not whining, I'm not complaining, I'm not trying to be a baby here. I'm just pointing out the obvious, right? It took some getting used to. I'll share kind of a personal story about this guy. So at first, I didn't necessarily like Spyderco's. As far as the ergos goes, right, look at this guy, right? You can fit all 4 fingers right there, no problem. Still got a good chunk of handle still left here. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel and you're watching Miguel EDC, where we talk everything EDC gear here. Today we're going to be reviewing this guy right here, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So this is the, of course, the infamous Spyderco PM2, very well known, very popular. I think everybody at some point in their knife EDC journey has heard about the PM2 in some way, shape, or form. So I can't wait to share with you guys my feedback, what my experience has been like EDC in this guy over the last couple of months. I will say up front, if you guys recall the unboxing video, on the Paramilitary, military. What is military? Military, really? Military? Come on. Hopefully I don't fail. Oh, that is so good. Hopefully I don't fail. Bruh. Obviously, it comes at around $170 some around that ballpark. By the way, check the links in the description. Those are affiliate links that help out the channel at no extra cost to you if you are considering getting one of these guys. You know, this being one of the higher price EDC knives in my collection, it has certainly stood out as a very, very solid EDC over the last couple of weeks. And I'm just so happy I pulled the trigger. I'm so happy I made the purchase. And I have not been disappointed. This guy has not let me down whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. So let's go over some basics here. What do we have going on with this guy? So we have the infamous PM2, of course, with the very iconic Spidey hole right there, right? The very iconic, recognizable Spyderco circle on the blade. This is the PM2. There is a paramilitary version, which is the OG. It's a longer knife, and there is a Para 3, which is the smaller brother to the PM2. By the way, a review on this guy will be dropping sometime in the very near future. Stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on it. But yeah, this guy right here is a very medium to large size knife. This guy's rocking a CPM S45 VN, which is a very, very solid steel here, very premium steel. And I got it in this satin finish right here that you can see. It is such a beauty. Of course, the USA made knives. They are made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth, right? In case you're wondering what planet these are from, they are still from good old USA Earth. So these are American knives. I mean, this is the real business right here. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and be reviewing this guy here. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and start with a quick overall measurement on this guy. Let's get the overall length. All right, so overall length, we're looking at a total of, bada bing, bada boom, it looks like 8 1/4 inches, right? 8 1/4 inches total length. Right, as far as the blade goes, we're looking at a total of 3 3/4, and the cutting edge is going to be right at 3 1/4. 3 1/4 for the cutting edge. Now, the handle is going to be the longer portion of this knife, right? This handle is huge. This handle is going to come in at 4 3/4 total length on the handle right there. So that kind of gives you an idea there of the total length on this guy. Of course, this guy is rocking the compression lock here from Spyderco, so it works very similar to, let's say, a liner lock, right? I'll give you an idea here of a liner lock. Let's say this Rat Model 1 here from Ontario has a liner lock right here, so this liner is holding the blade in place, right? So when you move that piece of the liner out of the way, you're able to close the blade or close the knife. Well, similar story here, except the liner lock is in the back portion of the knife, so it's called the compression lock. Same principles, right? And basically when you pinch on that, right, the blade is free. So you got multiple deployment options with this guy. Of course, you can do the liner lock just like that. All right, you got the Spidey hole, which you can use your thumb, right? Similar to a thumb stud opening. You open it like that with your thumb. And of course, we got my favorite and probably everybody's favorite on the Spyderco is the fact that you can do the infamous reverse flick or Spidey flick. Bam, and that is the most satisfying one, right? Basically, right, put your finger through the Spidey hole like that and bam, right? The rest is history. Probably one of the most satisfying openings of any EDC knives right there. I gotta tell you, right? It is such a awesome experience. I can't begin to describe. All right, so let's do some quick size comparisons on this guy. Of course, I mentioned at the beginning that it is the bigger brother to the Para 3, which is a smaller knife, as you can see right there, compare side by side. And then my other Spyderco knife in my collection is the Spyderco Smock. So let's throw them all on here. Let's compare. The PM2 is going to be longer than the Smock. It has a longer handle. Blade length is about the same, but the handle is longer, so therefore it is a longer overall knife. Also wider, right? The Spyderco Smock is very slim overall design, right? And of course, the Para 3 is going to be the shorter, shrunken version of the Para 2, right? So that's the Spyderco comparison for you right there. Let's check against the Demco brothers here really quick. Demco 80-20.5, regardless of blade shape. We have the shark's foot blade on top. We have the clip point blade at the bottom there. If you can see the Paramilitary 2 there is going to be a longer knife, no doubt about that. All right, we also compare them to the Sencut brothers. There's the Sencut Crawley and the Sencut Saxy. By the way, reviews on these two guys are available in the channel if you want to go ahead and check them out. But yeah, both the Saxy and the Crawley are medium to larger knives, and I want to say the PM2 is still slightly longer, or just about the same size as the Sencut brothers right there. And last but not least, of course, we have to check against the Ontario Wrap Model 1 and the Ontario Wrap Model 2. Yeah, the Wrap Model 2 does not even come close. It doesn't even stand a chance. Whereas the Wrap Model 1, the bigger brother, it certainly competes with the PM2. It's probably just as long of a knife as a PM2. No doubt about that. Longer handle than the blade. It's very, very comparable. But yeah, huge difference in price. Again, the PM2 being around almost $180 out the door with, taxes and everything included. Of course, I have the G10 version. There are some lightweight versions with FRN. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a second. But yeah, this is the G10, black G10 version, and so around $180. Check the links in the description. Whereas the Wrap Model 1 and Wrap Model 2, both of these are going to be around the $35 to $40 ballpark. So something to keep in mind right there. This is a quick carry profile right here next to the Para 3. Right, very, very spot on with the Para 3. Actually, might be just as wide, exactly the same there. Checking against the Spyderco Smock, right? You got the PM2 on the right, the smoke. The Smock is on the left, right? You guys be a judge of that. Very comparable. Next, we got the Demco brothers, regardless of blade shape and the great rivalry. Yeah, the Demco 80-20.5 is going to be slimmer, no doubt about that. Next to the Saxy here, Saxy on the left, PM2 on the right. Saxy is going to be just a little bit wider by a hair. Next to the Crawley, Crawley is going to be also a little bit wider. Ontario Wrap Model 1 right there, right? The Ontario Wrap Model 1 is just a little bit wider than PM. And last but not least, here it is compared to the Wrap Model 2. Wrap Model 2, of course, is a smaller knife, so therefore it's also slimmer as well. This guy has a flat grind all the way around. You could see, right, kind of just, the satin finish, flat grind all the way on both ends. Just very nice. It helps with this guy being so slicey. That's one thing that this knife has going for it. It's super slicey, and that flat grind helps a ton with that. Also, the edge on this guy is terrific. I want to say I have put this guy to the test, cardboard boxes, all kinds of paper and ropes and things like that, and this guy has not disappointed me in any way, shape, or form. It's just, it has really exceeded my expectations, to say the least. Let's do a quick check here what the length and height on your pocket is going to look like. Let's compare it back once again with the Spyderco brothers here. We got the Para 3 at the bottom. We got the Smock right here on the top. Obviously, both the PM2 and the Para 3 are going to be wider knives just because of, right, check out the Spidey hole, right? It's going to be so much bigger on both the PM2 and Para 3 versus the Smock, right? But that kind of gives you an idea right there. I mean, the ones with the full-size blown Spyderco hole are going to be very wide knives. That's just the nature of it. Here it is next to the 80-20.5 brothers right there, both blade shapes, right? Probably still a little bit wider, right? The 80-20.5 is already a wide knife because of how much of the blade sticks out from the handle. But yeah, very comparable, right? Very wide knives, to say the least. Next to the Saxy and next to the Crawley, of course, the Crawley is going to be way slimmer, right? Because that's just the nature of the beast right there. Whereas the Saxy, it has a bigger blade, right? A wider blade. And so that's going to make it a little bit wider, but still nowhere near close, right? How wide the PM2 is. And last but not least, of course, this is probably the more comparable one here, is the Ontario Wrap Model 1, the Ontario Wrap Model 2, and still the PM2 manages to be just that much wider because of that Spidey hole, right? But again, this should give you somewhat of an idea, right, what it's going to be like in your pocket. So a quick hardware check on this guy, by the way, guys. My tools are very recommendable. They're linked down below in the description. They're part of the Spyderco tool set. If you want to check them out, all right, the affiliate links are in the description. Check them out at no extra cost to you. I want to take a guess here. I want to say this guy, based on the screws that I'm seeing here, right, I want to say it has to be T8 all around, right? It's going to be T8 the American way, all the way on the pivot, right, on the spacers, probably T6 on the pocket clip. By the way, this is an aftermarket pocket clip. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment, but let's confirm that right there. So let's see, T8 right there in the frame, T8 on the pivot also. Could it be a T10? I don't know. Let's try T10. Wow, look at that. So the pivot is going to be a T10, right? Look at that. That's going to be even a larger measurement than we're used to. Everything else is going to be a T8 on the frame. And then last but not least, as far as the pocket clip, right, there it is, T6, right? T6 on all three of those, right? There's three different screws holding that pocket clip. So a quick blade stock thickness on this guy. All right, let's see here. And the thickest point, this guy is going to be 0.14, right? That's going to be a little bit wider of a blade right there than the typical blades that we see in the channel so far. I want to say the average, channel average, is going to be somewhere around 0.12 to 0.10 of an inch, right? But this is definitely a little bit wider, right? A little bit thicker right there. Now on the pointiest end, I want to say this guy definitely drops to a very pointy end, no doubt about that. So if I could just squeeze in there.
One eternity later.
And that's going to be 0.01 inches right there on the very tip. I know it looks pretty obvious, but that is a very pointy tip, no doubt about that. That tip is very, very pointy, very, definitely you can see the profile here on the blade, right? Starts right here, 0.14, all the way down to 0.1, right? Look at that. That is very, very nice. Yeah, some people are very concerned, very scared that that tip is might break. Obviously, you know, you're not trying to do some heavy prying with your knife. Your knife should be meant as a cutting tool, not a prying tool, right? But you can sort of see, obviously, I'm definitely not planning on doing any prying of any kind with my knife, so I definitely should be okay there. But yeah, if you're thinking of prying with your knife, you're probably using the wrong tool, right? Opt for something different. For comparison purposes, right, if you check the, let's say, blade here on the Ontario Wrap Model 1, right, this is going to be a much thicker point, and definitely what some people would argue a stronger blade tip right there. But I mean, it's up to your preference, right? Up to your preference. I like the fact that it is very, very pointy. It is so slicey. This guy, I can't really praise that enough. So a quick weight on this guy, right? Let's see here how we do. I want to say my guess on this guy is probably going to be around 3.6 ounces. Let's see where we are at. 3.8, right? Very close. 3.8 ounces right there. For comparison, right, here is the Para 3. So the Para 3 is 3.3, right? That is 0.5 ounces less, right? And for comparisons, also here is the Smock, right? The Smock is 3.7. So very, very close. Just 1.1 ounces more on the Para 2 or PM2 compared to the Smock. And of course the smaller brother right here, the Para 3, is going to be much lighter, right? Boom. So let's talk about this guy. What has the experience been like for this guy? I want to tell you, this has been an awesome experience with this knife. I got to tell you right off the box, you know you have a premium knife in your hand. It's all about the business, and it does the business. That's how good this guy is. Obviously, you have the very iconic Spidey hole right here, which again, for deployment options, boom, that reverse flick right there, that is my favorite. Also, you could do a very slow opening if you wanted to, right? Very classic, very classy slow opening. You could do that as well, right? Got some very nice jimping going on all the way at the top right here. All kinds of good jimping going on, not only in the blade, but also on the liner as well. So that's very, very nice. You can get a nice good grip on there, right? You also have a choil here, right? You could choke up on it right there, finger choil, right? You could kind of grab it like that if you wanted to, or if you needed to. Some people complain that if you forward choke, you can't use the thumb for the jimping up here. It's kind of uncomfortable. But I mean, for me, I have medium hands. They're not too large, they're not too small, somewhere average, somewhere in the middle. And you know, it depends on the cut you're trying to do. I definitely value the ability to be able to forward choke on there if I need to, right? It's always convenient. And obviously I still am able to use the jimping here at the top as well, either way. As far as the Ergos goes, right, look at this guy, right? You can fit all 4 fingers right there, no problem. Still got a good chunk of handle still left here on this end. Still got good chunk on the front end as well. And I mean, you can go about your cuts, no problem. Forward cuts, reverse cuts, right? You're not gonna do these as much, but again, you can still do these no problem. A lot of people also complain there's no sharpening choil on this guy, right? A sort of like you know, like a trade-off for this guy when you're using the PM2, but you are able to, let's say, close it this way, right? Use your thumb instead, and then use your index finger to stop the blade. It will look something like that. And as you can see, right, that's not going to be anywhere near your finger, right? And then just close it all the way like that. Once again, we have G10 scales going on this guy all around. I wanted to get the actual camo, right? I was really debating if I should get the camo on the Para 2. I ended up getting the camo on the Para 3. So the PM2, I wanted to keep it classy with the black G10. I know there's all kinds of spring runs and different colors with different steels. I mean, this is one of Spyderco's most popular knives right here, but I just wanted to keep it OG with all black. And again, this guy is rocking the satin finish CPM S45 VN, which is a heck of a steel, heck of a premium steel right there. We're gonna be doing the paper cutting test here in just a little bit, just to show you guys how good it does, how much of an edge it has retained. But I gotta tell you, this guy cut through everything that I threw at it. Everything, literally everything that I threw at it. Obviously, you know, I'm not trying to cut down a tree with this thing, right? I'm gonna use it for very well-known EDC tasks, you know, like paper, cardboard, rope, things like that. And on all those tasks, it certainly did the job, right? I'm not sure why, but this guy comes default tip down, right? The pocket clip is defaulted to tip down. So I went ahead and switched that. Of course, the other thing I did is I switched the Spyderco OG pocket clip. For whatever reason, their OG design has it so about this much of your knife is sticking out of your pocket, right? Not the best way. If you have a Spyderco knife, you probably know what I'm talking about. Let me know in the comments if you know the struggle, right? So yeah, definitely this factory clip does not hide the package, does not hide the knife as well as it could. So what I opted for is going with this aftermarket clip right here. Got this one off of Amazon. Check the link in the description if you want to check it out. But this one gets the job done. So not only did I move the clip from, you know, tip down carry to tip up carry, right? I'm all about tip up carry. And also with this design, as you can see, right, only this much of your knife may show, right? Definitely way more deep carry than it is with the OG pocket clip. So I know Spyderco, based on videos and research I've done, Spyderco knows that there's an aftermarket out there for their pocket clips. They refuse to, I guess, sort of make one that works better with the knife from the factory, so they still ship them with the OG pocket clip right here. And by the way, that was the same scenario with all three of my Spyderco, so I ended up having to upgrade from the OG clip to this aftermarket clip, and it makes a huge difference. It definitely helps quite a ton, right? If you have a Spyderco knife, you know what I'm talking about, right? OG or factory clip versus aftermarket, you definitely have to go aftermarket, no doubt about that. Boom, just like with every review, guys, you have to do the paper cutting test. And again, this guy is not out of the box sharp. This guy has seen plenty of use over the last couple of months. And so without further ado, if you guys are ready, I'm ready, right? Don't forget to give a rating from 1 to 10 on how sharp this guy is. Let me know in the comments. Without further ado, here we go. Boom, look at that first cut. Wow, wow, look at those cuts, guys. Butter smooth, wow. So the box advertises a ghost-like edge. Yeah, I can see what they're saying right there. Look at that. Boom, beautiful cuts all day, every day. All right, cut a little bit right there, surprisingly, right? But has been doing outstanding. All the other cuts, look at that. All right, does this guy need to be resharpened? I don't think so. I don't think this guy needs any sharpening of any kind anytime soon. There's so much blade there left. All right, once again, this guy is rocking the compression lock, which is a very, very solid lock right here. That blade is not going anywhere. There's no side-to-side rocking of any kind. This guy's a solid 10 out of 10, right, without a doubt. And again, it works just like the liner lock, except in the back. So when I push this liner here, right, the blade drops just like that, right? And then eventually it locks the detent right there, right in place. Very, very nice. I will say though, it took a little bit of getting used to, right? Check out my index finger, right? And I'm not whining, I'm not complaining, I'm not trying to be a baby here. I'm just pointing out the obvious, right? It took some getting used to. You know, if you don't have a Spyderco knife and you're just getting used to them, right? Just know your index finger, whether you're righty or lefty. I know there's a left-hand version of this knife as well out there if you're a lefty. But yeah, your index finger, either way with that compression lock, it's going to take a little bit of a beating every time you use it. It's going to leave a mark like that. You know, it doesn't bother me now as much as it did at the beginning. But yeah, the more I use it, if I'm sitting there just playing with it, watching Netflix or what have you, right, after a while I have to put it down because, you know, it creates that whole indentation right there, you know, in my index fingers. Again, not a big deal. It is a compromise that I'm okay with. Just wanted to point that out. Again, if you're considering Spyderco knives for the first time, it is not a deal breaker for me. But again, in the spirit of providing you a comprehensive review, I definitely have to point that out to you guys. Of course, we have some really good spacers right here. This guy has some very nice thick spacers, right, going on. And if it has anything for sure, is it has a huge, and I mean a huge, all right, lanyard hole. Look at that thing. That thing is thick. Look at the spacer just for the hole right there for the lanyard hole. That thing is massive, right? So much so that it takes priority over the pocket clip. The pocket clip kind of gets tossed to the side a little bit, right? This lanyard hole is humongous, right? I know this knife is carried by a lot of professionals as well, so a lot of folks, and for a lot of applications, a lanyard hole definitely comes handy. But yeah, that you're gonna have no issues with that if you're into lanyard holes and whatnot. Let's check out the inside. So this guy has a little bit of milling, right? As you can see right there, kind of like that diamond looking hexagon, not hexagon, but you know, slanted rectangle. Can't think of the exact shape. This is not geometry class right now, but you guys get the idea, right? It is milled, right? It definitely got some milling going on that helps with the weight a little bit. As far as the blade alignment, look at that thing, guys. That is smack in the middle, right? That is super aligned right there. You guys be the judge. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, even after a lot of use, right? And I showed you a second ago, right? That blade is rock solid and it's still very, very aligned. No doubt about that. A good way to overcome the issue with the index finger I was pointing out earlier is whenever you're closing it, just opt for maybe using your thumb and close it this way instead. It is a little bit of a slower close, but at least, you know, your index won't take a beating like that. You could do the reverse flick, right? And then just close it with your thumb instead of your index finger. Right? That's a good way. That's what I do after I've been opening and closing it for a while with my index. And then it starts to hurt a little bit. Then I just switch what fingers I'm using, right? For deployment, what fingers I'm using for closing. So Spyderco is not only a US based company, right? Made in the good old USA, but also there's a nice story background behind the company. If you haven't looked into it, make sure to do some research. Father and now son involved in the company, right? It's been definitely a family business, and they're constantly innovating, and some designs have stood the test of time, like the Paramilitary 2 right here, right? These are knives that are not necessarily new as of right now or anything like that. These are knives that have been around for quite a while, and why fix what isn't broken, right? So they get the job done. They're very ergonomic. They're very solid knives right here. So why reinvent the wheel? So what they do over time though is they provide more premium handle materials. They also provide more premium steels as well. So the knife continues to get better and better over time. There is a huge, but I mean a huge aftermarket for the PM2. Huge aftermarket. Everything from custom scales to custom pocket clips to a variety of dealer exclusives, right? For different blade finishes and blade steels and things like that. The list goes on as far as how many options you have with this guy. It's like right up there with the, let's say, Benchmade bug out as one of the most popular, most well-known knives out there. For first-time users of the Spyderco knives, period, right? You don't own the Spyderco knife. I'll share kind of a personal story about this guy. So at first, I didn't necessarily like Spydercos. When I first started into knives, I mean, we're all sort of assuming that a knife should look something like this, or that a knife should look something like this, right? We think of kitchen knives, you have an overall idea of what knives should look like. And you got this thing, right? You got the Spyderco with the Spidey hole. Kind of looks like as Metal Complex would say, sort of like a dead bird to me, right? It definitely has a bird aesthetic to it, you know, sort of like the beak, the eye, and whatnot. And at first, I will be honest, personally speaking, and a lot of people can agree, right? A Spyderco is not the most attractive knife out there. Some people who are not into knives may even call it ugly, right? May even call it an ugly knife, but that is not the case once you actually own it. Once you own the knife, you start to realize, right, all the attention to detail. You realize why the blade is shaped the way it is. You realize why the ergos are the way that they are, why the handle is you know, designed in such a way, you know, and things like that. You start to develop a sort of like passion and understanding for, okay, I get why Spyderco knives look like that. I guess why I'm starting to understand why their DNA looks like that. Again, myself included, I'm guilty of it. At the very beginning, I did not like Spyderco knives whatsoever, but I can tell you today, I can happily report that today Spydercos are one of my favorite knives, not only because I own a few of them, but also when I'm EDCing this guy. I mean, this guy is such a solid everyday carry, right? There's no task, big or small, that this guy can do, and it does it so well, so efficiently. I highly recommend it, of course. If you have Spydercos already, you definitely can agree there. You probably know what I'm talking about. If you're considering getting your very first Spyderco knife, right? Just know, give it a shot. You can always test them out. If you don't like them, I always say you can return the knife. That's always my perspective on testing out new knives, but I can promise you with a 90 to 95% certainty that chances are you're going to fall in love with your Spyderco. Just give it the benefit of the doubt once you realize the edge performance, the steel, the quality, right? The workmanship that goes into these guys. You are going to love it. Boom. So in conclusion, guys, hopefully I've been able to add some value, right? If you're considering purchasing this guy, don't forget to check the links in the description. There are affiliate links that help out the channel at no extra cost to you. Yeah, one of the most iconic knives in Spyderco's lineup. Like I always say, right? You got nothing to lose. If you've been eyeing this guy for a while, perhaps if you're considering getting into Spyderco for the very first time, guys, just take this guy for a test drive. I'll tell you, you would not be disappointed. I cannot recommend this guy enough. This is a solid knife right here. This is probably top 10, right? Top 10, maybe even top 5 best EDC knives of all time. All time. We're talking all time EDC knives. The Spyderco PM2. It is that good of a knife. All right. That being said, guys, let me know in the comments if I missed anything, if there's any additional questions or different things I didn't touch on the review. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to be hanging out down there, answering any questions, any concerns that you may happen to have. Don't forget to like and subscribe for this video if you find it helpful. It is very likely that by the time you're seeing this video, the review on the Para 3 is already out. I'm going to go ahead and put a card right here, right? If you want to go ahead and check that review next, certainly can. An awesome EDC as well. Guys, thank you so much for making it this far. You guys are the real MVP. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.